Okay, let's dive in. Forget the timelines you thought you knew. We're talking about a face frozen in time for 1.4 million years, just unearthed in Spain.
That's right. It's pretty groundbreaking stuff. Found back in 2022, deep inside the Cima del Elefante cave, part of the Atapuerca complex.
Atapuerca, right. That place is legendary.
It really is. What they found were fragments, just a piece of the left upper jaw and a cheekbone. They've nicknamed it Pink.
Pink. Okay. And the significance.
Well, it's the oldest hominin face found in Western Europe, by a long shot, actually. Hundreds of thousands of years older than anything else we had.
Wow. Okay, 1.4 million years. That's hard to wrap your head around. So our mission today, let's unpack what this actually means for, the story of early humans in Europe.
Exactly. Who was there and when? This find really stirs the pot.
So Cima del Elefante, you said deep inside the cave.
Yeah, about 16 meters down in ancient silt, which tells you something about how long it's been sealed away undisturbed.
16 meters? Okay. And what was the world like back then? Can we picture the environment around Atapuerca 1.4 million years ago?
We can try. It would have looked very different. Think rivers, definitely forests, oak, juniper maybe. And picture this, hippos in Spain.
Hippos? Seriously?
Yep. It gives us a sense of the climate, the habitat these early humans were navigating, probably following rivers, using the resources there.
Fascinating. Okay, back to Pink itself. What do these fragments, this jaw and cheekbone, tell us about the individual?
Well, the bones are quite robust, suggests a strong build. The face seems to have projected forward quite a bit.
For projecting. Okay.
And a relatively flat nasal structure, a heavy brow ridge. These are notable features.
Now, this is where it gets tricky, right? How does Pink compare to other hominins we know about? Does it fit neatly anywhere?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
It doesn't really match up well with the later European hominins we know, like Neanderthals or their ancestors.
So not a direct ancestor of the folks we usually associate with Ice Age Europe.
It doesn't look like it, no. Intriguingly, though, there are some similarities to Homo erectus.
Homo erectus, from Africa, the species famous for moving out of Africa early on.
Precisely. The one known for walking fully upright, strutting across continents. So the similarities raise possibilities. Is Pink maybe a distant relative of erectus that made it to Europe very early?
Roar.
Or could it represent an entirely different, maybe unknown lineage that branched off? We just don't know yet.
That's wild, because remind us, the previous oldest facial bones from Western Europe, they were found nearby, weren't they? At Grandolina.
Also in Atapuerca, but significantly younger. Those are dated to less than 1 million years old, maybe around 800,000, 900,000 years ago.
So Pink being potentially 1.4 million years old, that suggests
What?
maybe two different groups living in Iberia around the same time, geologically speaking.
It certainly opens that possibility. Two distinct populations, perhaps arriving in different ways, maybe occupying slightly different niches. It makes the early Pleistocene in Europe look much more complex than we thought.
A more crowded, ancient landscape. Was there anything else found with Pink? Any clues about behavior?
Yes, actually. Something quite small but potentially revealing. There's a tiny groove on one of Pink's teeth.
A groove? Like from wear and tear?
Possibly deliberate wear? Some researchers have suggested it could be evidence of using a toothpick poking between the teeth.
You're kidding! A 1.4 million year old toothpick mark.
It's a tantalizing possibility, a tiny glimpse into, well, maybe early dental hygiene or just habitual behavior.
That is incredible. So what does a find like Pink, tucked away for so long, tell us about places like Atapuerca? Are there likely more secrets hidden there?
Oh, almost certainly. Atapuerca is like a layer cake of time. If Pink was waiting there, it really underscores how much we don't know. These caves could hold remains that completely rewrite our understanding. Again.
Right. So let's just quickly recap for everyone listening. We've got Pink, this 1.4 million year old face from Spain, oldest in Western Europe.
Yep, challenges the timeline.
Doesn't quite fit known European types, has some hints of Homo erectus.
Raising questions about origins and lineages. Maybe multiple groups were present.
And maybe even using toothpicks. It really blows open the picture of who the first Europeans were, how they got there, and how they lived.
Absolutely. It moves beyond simple dates and forces us to ask deeper questions about identity, migration, adaptation, the whole narrative.
It really does. And it leaves you wondering, with every new dig season, every new fragment they pull from the earth, what assumptions that we hold right now might just crumble. What completely new stories about our deep past are waiting to be told. Thanks for breaking this down.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating time for paleoanthropology.